salutations. Hola.
Welcome to Podro Pascal. I am your co-host, Rachel Leishman.
I'm your other co-host, Catrina Dennis.
And I already announced that this is Podro Pascal, the Pedro Pascal podcast. We're here for another roaring episode talking about The Last of Us.
Yeah. We're doing so much. I feel like I've congratulated us on past episodes, but like, good job, everybody. Look at us. We've been doing like 2 episodes a week for like what, 3 weeks in a row? Something?
For all of February, we've just
Wow.
been like, hello, here's multiple episodes. And like, listen,
Congrats,
guys.
Team Padro, and congrats, listeners, for tolerating us because there's so much of us. There's about to be even more of us.
It's just gonna keep going. Producer Ashley said she's so tired. We've just been trucking along. The thing is, we've had a lot of content, so it's been a lot to go off. Don't worry. When this and Mandalorian end, we're gonna have to have a little break because what are we gonna talk about? Because unless a
Seriously.
movie comes out, unless that movie where he's smooching Ethan Hawke instantly comes out, we're gonna have to take a little bit of a lull. What are we gonna talk about? We'll get more guests back on, I guess, and go back to the typical format, as it were.
Yeah.
But for now, we'll talk about The Last of Us.
The Last of Us.
Trina, how have you been in the last 3 days?
Oh man, I've been great. When I think about the past, I completely black out. Oh right, yeah. So I got to hang out with some friends recently, who were in town for the Star Trek Picard premiere, so that's very exciting. And I've just been cranking away in Disney Dreamlight Valley, because that's my current life sim addiction, and I'm just putting this extremely powerful computer to good use with my Mickey Mouse friends.
As you should.
How about you?
Make,
How are
I
you?
mean, I'm good. I've gotten real into doing the like Sunday resets, but it never really happens on Sunday. It happens any other day
Yeah.
instead.
Mm-hmm.
And so, been real into trying to be an adult and organizing my life. That's how I've been very busy because
Mm-hmm.
I did a bunch of interviews and I thought like, oh, they're all gonna be staggered, and then they all came out like yesterday. So I've
Oops.
been working on getting them up. It's just I'm a one-man show.
Yeah.
It's just me, and I got to do all this organization. It was funny because we had a new person at work, and he was talking about videos, and I said something about our podcast, and he was like, "Oh, is that a podcast? So that's the only podcast on our network?" And I was like, "This is no, sir. You guys don't have Podro Pascal." And he
There
was
you go.
like, "What?" And I was like, "That's our producer Ashley does all the work on that one, sir. You can hire Ashley."
Yeah.
Uh,
We
but
could be a podcast for them. But we need a
do you guys
contract,
want to own it?
an agreement. We need to talk shop. Money.
We got to talk shop for Pedro Pascal,
Yes.
the Pedro Pascal podcast. Before we get into it, I'm really happy our store is selling.
Yeah, me too. I was like so surprised. Like they're like more than one person has bought it, and it wasn't just like us, which is great. Like I'm blown away. I'm surprised that anyone has bought stuff. And thank you very much. Real special.
Yeah, it's really nice. I was like, well,
Mhm.
I guess people do listen to this podcast. I'm happy for you
Yeah.
guys.
I
I'm happy.
don't know. I don't know why I'm like surprised or like the turnout to our gathering at celebration was really lovely. We met some new folks who were listeners, and I was really again taken aback, but like super thankful for it. So I'm glad that you guys like the merch, and we're definitely gonna be putting out cool new stuff throughout the year as it comes. So yeah.
Yeah, it is funny. Every time producer Ashley, her official name, sends any kind of updates, it's like this many people. I was like, I don't know why. I'm happy for you guys. I'm happy you guys are listening to this. I don't know why, but I'm really happy for you. Like, congrats. I'm glad that I can be your sound that you
Yes.
hear when you're out and about. Or if you watch the video on YouTube, even better. I love that you guys are just looking at our face.
Just staring at us, staring at you, staring at us, staring at our reflections on the
Sounds like an
computer.
ABBA song. It
Yeah.
sounds like the knowing me, knowing you, but it's like stare at me, stare at you.
Mamma Mia 4 coming to theaters soon.
Yeah, forget Mamma Mia 3. We're going right to. We're going Mamma Mia. Here we go again, again, again.
Here we go. Oh God, not again.
But yeah. So episode 5 was, what another. This show really does love to be like, you think you're happy? JK.
No.
And so Catrina, give your overall thoughts.
I mean, it was a great episode of post-apocalyptic television. It was definitely one that I wish I hadn't watched by myself just because it was super intense. I'm glad that we took the extra day to record so that I didn't have to like slap bang watch it all the way through. Like I got to take a little break. But with that all like out in the air, fantastic performances by everyone in the episode. It was intense, but that was because again, the team behind it made it intense, and that's what makes it great television, I think. This was a really important story and a really intense story from the game that I kind of, if you play the game, you knew what we were about to go into. And there were some slight changes to it, especially with like one new character, but it still like resonated extremely well. There were some great nods to the games and the monsters in the game in this one, and yeah, I dug it. It was cool.
Well, I have my thoughts, but like I want to talk a little bit about one of the major changes,
Hmm.
and it's going to be funny. And one of the major changes is simply that it is not Pittsburgh.
Hmm.
Um,
Here we go.
so here I'm just preemptively doing this because it's a damn tangent.
Oh
Let me
boy.
tell you something. So I am from Pittsburgh. We rarely have it featured in things when it is legitimately Pittsburgh, and let me tell you why. For some reason, everyone's like, this looks like a fictional town. It's a very real town in Pennsylvania, but it was Gotham in The Dark Knight Rises.
Mm-mm.
It is the town in Mayor of Kingstown. They filmed that show in Pittsburgh. That show is not set in Pittsburgh. It is just, that's where they film it. And it has been featured as another city in multiple things. I was so excited because I was like, oh, The Last of Us, right? They go to Pittsburgh. It's like a whole thing. And I was like, I hope one fucking Pennsylvanian accent survived the apocalypse.
Mm-hmm.
And I stand by this. I wish someone called Jola Jagoff. It would have been great. I would have laughed my little ass off because for those listeners who are not aware of Pittsburgh lingo, "are y'all" is yins. So
Mm-hmm.
you use it like you're like, "Are yins going up there?" And that's yins. And then an insult, which me as a now 30-something-year-old, I hadn't heard it in a really long time, so I thought, oh, that must have been
I'm
okay.
fixing the ticker for those of you listening. It says
Yeah, the
Pittsburghian goes on a
ticker.
tangent. Get your pierogies and listen in, jagoffs.
Okay, so jag off as an insult. I hadn't heard it in really long, so I moved when I was 10 turning 11 to California. And I hadn't really heard jag off. And I was like, oh, yeah, that like must, and like I wanted to use it one time and I was like, oh no, that's clearly something that is problematic and like no one uses it anymore. Only to realize that no, it's just an insult that is very to Pittsburgh. And no one
I
else
hope it's
uses
not
it
problematic.
outside of Pittsburgh. It's not problematic. It is just
Great.
simply from Pittsburgh. Because jag off just means you're dumb. It's like, hey, you fucking jag off. Like, you're stupid. Please leave me alone. Um, but I was like, oh, I hadn't heard it in a while. That must have been offensive. Only to realize it's like, no, I'm just from Pittsburgh. That's what it is. And now I wish like Andy Warhol wrote jag off on a painting. Um, but Andy Warhol, one of our great legends from Pittsburgh. But anyways, this part of the show was originally in Pittsburgh, but it makes more sense that the show is going west because they're in
Mhm.
Kansas City now versus, they were in Boston. They would have to go like southwest essentially because Western PA is where would be heading. But
Mhm.
whatever. It's fine. Joel Miller was not called a jag off by someone. I would have loved Pedro Pascal to have to deal with someone with a Pittsburgh accent. Would have made my life complete. So if anyone in Hollywood is watching this and wants to let Pedro Pascal film in Pittsburgh, I think he did film something in Pittsburgh actually. I hope he went to Permane Brothers. That was a change that bothered me, was that it is not Pittsburgh anymore. The episode as a whole is actually us getting to meet Sam and Henry.
Mhm.
Because the first episode we get to see kind of like, we talked about it, but we see the not the containment, but like who's in charge of Kansas City, and we get to meet Melanie Linsky. I do have to say something. People on the internet being mean to Melanie Linsky, like I will legitimately come and fight you.
Honestly,
I will fight you.
like I someone showed their whole butt this week. And I don't really need to name her. I'm sure we all have like seen this person's comment under this really beautiful picture of this actress. But like it's just so stupid that like, oh, I can't imagine people of different sizes being in the apocalypse. Like what? Like do you hear yourself talking in the sense you're not making? Like it's ridiculous. Like especially like if she's the leader of a faction, like whatever. Anyway,
Well, I replied to that person, and she went on to say that she doesn't believe any woman leading a rebellion. She's like, it's just not believable. And I was like, oh, so you're a sexist? Great,
yeah, yeah.
good.
Oh no, she's
She's a
one of
big,
those types. She's one of those. She's like an
oh yeah.
anti-vaxxer and all sorts of
Well,
weird
that's what
stuff.
happens when you
Um,
fail on America's Next Top Model.
yeah, exactly. She didn't go anywhere. So very sad to, I guess, be anyone who knows that person because they're wrong.
Yeah,
And
make her
anyone
watch
who,
Yellow Jackets.
yeah, exactly. Go watch Yellow
Sit
Jackets.
her down and make her watch Yellow Jackets.
Hmm.
Actually, just make her watch everything Melanie Linsky's ever been in.
I
Do a
agree.
whole filmography watch. Do a Melanie Linsky podcast and force that woman to sit silently while you praise her. But Melanie Linsky is important storyline. Because tell me if you like this change. So one of the changes
Mhm.
is that Sam is sick. So Sam is deaf, and in the game he's deaf. But now, which I don't remember this from the game, and maybe I just missed this part of the game. But like in the show, he has leukemia,
Yeah,
and Henry is like,
that was to go and to fit him into the storyline or make him basically the reason for the storyline that Monica exists. Like Kathleen was not
yeah, Kathleen,
Yeah, Kathleen was not a character in the game originally. So that's how they wove those two storylines together was to make Henry the person who killed her brother and led her to revenge. So he was not the centerpiece of that particular story before because it didn't exist.
yeah, and so then now. And like one of the reasons she's angry too is like the doctor is helping them because they found like one thing that helped Sam,
Hmm.
and she won't let. She basically is like, "Why do you think he's more important than everyone else?"
Hmm.
The whole episode is basically Joel and Ellie with Henry and Sam, and they're trying to like get out of this situation
Hmm.
in Kansas City. And it's actually kind of sweet because I wrote about this over in the Narrative if you would like to read it. But I wrote about how this episode actually has Sam and Ellie getting to be kids. Because, like, when you stop and think about it, like, the whole time you're watching this and you're playing the game, you're like, sure, she's 14, but she acts a lot older because she has
Hmm.
to. She's in an apocalypse. But this episode in particular let them actually be kids with each other and like talk
Hmm.
about comic books, and they like it was like kind of sweet to see children being children in a show
Yeah.
like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, that I think it's a nice like it was a really nice little breather like seeing the two of them interact with each other, seeing them learn how to communicate with each other and how easy it is for people to just like make friends when put in situations like that. So I loved it. Like I thought that it was a really nice addition too to Ellie's storyline. Because for the most part, people who played the game know what's waiting for Ellie down the line, and so I think that we're going to see that impact her further decisions.
I did love the use. I can't remember if this is in the game or not, but I did love the use of one of those like old school like board things that you can like write on and use to like draw pictures and like erase them really quickly. I like that is how Sam communicates with everyone else who's not his brother.
Yeah,
Kevin Woodward, who plays Sam, is so cute. I don't know if you've watched interviews with him, but they like I guess somebody asked him like how these two characters are like, and he was like, Sam is deaf and I'm deaf. I was like, I love this child who's just like, here you go. That's what we have in life.
he's so cute because I remember reading interviews with him very recently this week where like his friends back home started calling him Hollywood when he got this part, and like he's just happy to be there, really excited. And I think he didn't really complain, but he was like, I was in the makeup chair for so long when I was a zombie. Like it was just cute. It's like I'm and he's such a talented actor too, so I hope that like we get to see more of him.
I liked the Henry and Sam relationship in the show a lot better than I liked it in the
Mm,
game. Like Lamar Johnson did a really good job as Henry because you instantly care and you understand. Like him getting along with Joel made a lot of sense because the two of them are
mhm.
like we're both we're trying to protect these kids. And so I really liked how the show kind of let Ellie and Sam be kids, but also like showed us Joel and Henry getting to know each other and getting along because they both have this sense of responsibility for somebody else. The episode as a whole, they're trying to get out of Kansas City. They're trying to like figure out everything that's going on. And it leads them to like Kathleen basically being like, come out, come out. And then somehow all of
Mhm.
these people have just stumbled into this fucking like hive of clickers. Like they're all like fighting
Yep.
each other.
Well,
And
that's
there's this,
so Henry does like wait, is that before they team up with Henry? Yeah. So Henry does warn them like this the only way we can like get out and avoid Kathleen is by going through this tunnel that everyone says is infested, but I don't think it's infested. And the parts they initially go through are not infested. Henry is correct there. But later we find out that that underground space was absolutely infested with infected.
yeah. So like the episode as a whole is basically just like, hey, here we are, we're meeting each other, we're figuring out like neither of us are the bad guys. Okay, these two kids are hanging out, reading comic books and like geeking out about this comic series and like trying to
Oh.
find the missing issues. And then it's like, okay, the only way we can get out of this town is this is our plan. And so it's like up until this point, you're like, okay, this is fine, like cool, like yeah, we got it. They're planning something. Then they get into this fucking fight with when they're trying to leave. And so like Kathleen's basically like, Henry, come out here. Blah 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 blah. I'll kill you, whatever. I don't remember what she says. She didn't say I'll kill you, but like she's not happy with them. And so then all of these clickers come out. And these four are hiding behind cars. That's my favorite thing is like the way they've chosen
Mm-hmm.
to protect themselves is to hide by cars. Um, and all the clickers are coming out. So everyone, Game Tommy, Jeffrey Pierce is this kind of like there with Kathleen. Like that's his role. Everyone from the game is in the show at some point. And so at this part of the show, Jeffrey Pierce is playing a character named Perry who's like with Kathleen and like working with Kathleen. And Jeffrey
Mm-hmm.
Pierce played Tommy in the game. And so this is the first time he like actually has stuff to do because the first episode we're just kind of seeing why Joel was there and kind of understanding what's going on. But this episode is where everyone either dies or like you at least know some more about these characters before they die.
Mm-hmm.
Um, because Perry is like, and all of Perry's team and Kathleen are like ready to fight these clickers that appear because like truly the infestation of infected is just like a stampede of
Oh my gosh. It's
of people.
like, oh, so many, so fast too.
Yeah, they're all so fast. Meanwhile, Joel, Ellie, Henry, and Sam are hiding behind a car. Um, and all these clickers are coming out. Or no, sorry, Joel is in a room with a
Mm-hmm.
sniper.
Mm-hmm.
So and Henry, Sam, and Ellie are just like hiding behind the wheel of a car. And then they eventually like their storyline is actually really scary because even though we know Ellie is fine, she finally gets in a car and protects herself, and a little kid that is a clicker is like attacking her in the car. What's hot is this big boy. Yeah, I am looking for this big boy. Our ticker on the bottom, our ticker, not this clicker. The ticker on the bottom says it's cuffing season. Are you looking for this big boy? I saw a tweet today that said my horny ass would die in this apocalypse and put that picture.
Oh no.
And
Oh my
I
goodness.
truly and honestly have never laughed harder and also said same because like
Mm-hmm.
this guy is just I don't know how to describe it and why we've all lost our damn minds. Here's the tweet in question. And if you guys want to go give it a retweet and this lovely tweeter a follow, which just says my horny ass would not survive The Last of Us. Because it's just it was a real I can fix him moment, even though you physically
Yeah,
couldn't because
you cannot. But you know
he's
what?
in fact
I
dead.
think I think everyone entering their monster era is a beautiful thing, and every time it happens, it's wonderful.
I got a question.
Hmm.
So, in theory, looking at this big boy, in theory, are you telling me that like if The Rock or Jason Momoa became infected, they'd be
Hmm.
like as strong as they are? Like we'd all be fucked.
Yeah, we well,
Like
man. Oh
infected
God.
an infected Jonathan Majors is like we thought the Avengers were fucked. We're all, the world
Yeah,
as a whole. We're done.
might as well lay
First of all,
down and
because we'd
die.
still be hot, but
Yes,
just all
yes.
out. Well, the big boy appeared, and truly and honestly, and I'm saying I've seen this episode, I think 3 times. Truly and honestly, I don't know what happens after the big boy appears. I just know everyone dies.
Yep.
No idea what happens after the big boy appears until we're back in safety. So, Katrina, do you know what boy appears?
Yeah, Kathleen and her hand man get like murdered. Like that big
Oh
boy
yeah.
rips the dude's head clear off, and then Kathleen gets jumped by that little girl who like eats her
Oh
like
yeah, the
swipes
little
her
girl.
face off.
I do remember the
Yeah,
little girl
dude,
eating her.
it's
I do
brutal.
remember, even though I thought I only remembered
Yeah,
the big boy. I do remember that
yeah. He like,
because it was
oh
nice.
man, that was woof. That was something.
The thing is, this episode's not that long, because it's the pacing of the show is a little wild because it'll go from like 45-minute episodes like this one or like an
Mhm.
hour and a half it's very kind of everywhere. And so this episode pretty much is this big sequence. Like there's the beginning part where we learn about Henry and Sam a little bit. We see them all together, and then
Mhm.
this is a big chunk of it is this fight situation. And then the next part is some of like again some of the saddest stuff out there. I tweeted this and I don't regret it, which is just like The Last of Us said, "Cry, bitch," and I said, "Okay, I will," because it really is just like,
It's awful. It's so sad.
yeah, and it's like, okay, if you guys know the game, you know what happens. Sam gets bit. Ellie is like trying to save him, and like
Mhm.
it fails. Obviously, Sam turns. He attacks her. Henry has to kill his brother and then kills himself. Is kind of the format of the game and the show. But in the show, it's like having that moment where like Ellie and Sam are like really, really kids, which exists in the game, but it's not as kind of I don't know, it didn't feel as like, oh my god, yeah, these are just kids as
Mhm.
it did in the show to me. But seeing those two like be really childish together, and I say childish not as like an insult, but like they act like children.
Yeah, I
Because when
got
you think
to
about it, it's a
experience that.
14-year-old and what he's 10, I think,
Mhm.
or like he's a couple years younger than her, but they're still just kids.
He's like, yeah,
And
he says he's 8, I think.
okay, all right, so he's 8. So it's
Mhm.
a 6-year age difference, but they both are acting like they're like kids talking about it's
Yeah.
very sweet. And so when you see them and they're like talking, so they get to safety. Joel and Henry are talking out in the like main little room together, and they're just chit chatting. And it cuts to Joel, Ellie, and Sam, and they're in a room, and they're like both of them are like, "You guys got to go to bed, like go to sleep," and they're just talking, and they're like, forget like exactly what leads Sam into being honest, but Sam shows Ellie that he was bit, and it's juxtaposed with Henry and Joel being like, we should travel together so they have one another. And so it's very
Yeah.
sad when you when it is set up like that, where it's like these two men are like, yeah, these kids need each other.
Hmm.
We should try and figure something out. And then it is like, oh no,
I
that kid's about
know.
to die. It just hurts. And like Ellie, like it's really so it's sweet, but it is so sad because you can tell like you're like, oh, you are a child, like you thought that that was going to work. She like
Hmm.
he shows his leg. She shows that like she can heal, and like the infection like doesn't affect her.
Hmm.
And so she like basically like tries to like not blood. Is it called bloodletting?
Yeah, I think like she tries to like blood transfuse all over his
Yeah,
yeah.
she's like, I got this, and that's like
Yeah.
that's not how it works in any situation. Like
No,
that just
Ellie. No, it's
doesn't
not.
work. But so she he's like, will you please stay up with me all night? And she's like, yes, I won't fall asleep. Classic kid, falls asleep. And she
Hmm.
wakes up and he's sitting on the edge of the bed. And so she's like, she kind of has this like, oh my god, it worked. Like, Sam, are you okay? Which, first of all, he's facing the window, and it like again, what a child, because Ellie, he's deaf, and she's like saying his name. And then she like goes over and like looks at him. I think she's like, but she like just trying to get his attention, goes over, realizes he turned.
Hmm.
They go out into the main living room, and basically Ellie is fighting him off because Henry like does not want to hurt his brother.
Hmm.
Um, and it's just so sad watching as he kind of has the realization of like, or he doesn't have time to think. He just like shoots his brother and then realizes after he's done it, like, holy shit, what have I done?
Yeah.
And it's a lot. It's just so sad. I love them and I love this story, but it's just like, it's so sad. These two brothers just loved each other, and it's all they had. And it depresses me.
I know. It's such a tragic like episode, like, and it sucks that that we had to like sit through it again because like even last week when I was looking at the Last of Us Twitter, people were like, "Oh boy, prepare yourselves!" Like, "Oh, you thought this week made you cry?" Like, or you thought episode 3 made you cry. Yeah. So I'm still kind of processing the whole episode, even though I knew every beat of what was about to happen, all the way to Henry ending his life because of what he did. Like it's a lot, but it was again, beautifully acted. And I don't know. I think Joel, it's this theme of Joel meeting protectors, like people who have to make hard choices because they're trying to protect the person that they love. And I think that Henry was definitely one of those people, and Joel was even ready to like welcome Henry and his little brother into their lives. Like that's a big move for him.
I like what you said about protectors because it's like when Joel's on his own journey of trying to like understand like his relationship to Ellie and like kind of
Hmm.
letting another like guiding another kid because like I understand why he like doesn't want anything to really do with her because of his own daughter, and like in part one, like that part one of the game, that's kind of like the whole journey that you're following these two along on, is Ellie realizing she can rely on him and Joel realizing like she needs him like Sarah did, and kind of coming to terms with that within himself. And it's like having Bill be like, even though Bill said Tess, like the mentality of like, you have to protect, like that's what we
Mhm.
do. Tess telling him to save who you can save, and like all of these people kind of continually telling him like to protect her. I think this one is the one that just kind of like hurts because it was like he finally was like, I found someone who understands this, knows like what we need to do to protect these kids, and then it just
Mhm.
falls apart so quickly after. So Joel and Ellie basically like after this are like, okay, we have to move on. But he gives them a burial. I mean, what a downer of the end of
Yeah, that was
description.
intense. Mhm.
Sorry guys, I don't know how else to like be like, well, and what a happy ending. It's not. The show's depressing.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's not going to be that series that like gives you every single happy ending you want. And I mean, that's what I think everyone knew when they signed up for it. But yeah, it's a very solemn episode. It's a very sad episode. It's one of those episodes that's a little more intense and scary than the others. Like just to stop and talk about Melanie Linsky's performance in this episode and as
Mm-hmm.
Kathleen overall, like I the unnerving thing about her villain was that she talked like a mom, like she spoke like a gentle lady who like is a caretaker, and like maybe that's who she was in her past life. But when she delivered those lines, it sounded so sinister. Um like
Yeah.
I don't know how else to describe it. Like it's so wild.
Well, and it is so like that character could have just been cut and dry evil, but the like reality is she's vicious about it. But she's not entirely wrong. She's like, we have a society to protect.
Mhm.
And like, and she says it to Henry in such a like heartless way that you're like, in our society, we're like, yeah, that's so mean. But it's like when you think about like The Last of Us and how all these people are surviving, it is kind of like, why does this one person matter most of all to everybody else?
Mhm.
And it's like the reality is sadly, the only one who is of importance is Ellie because she could be a cure. But I would be the Henrys. I'd be like, I'm gonna protect this one person who I care about. I don't care that much about the rest of you. Sorry, Kathleen,
Sorry,
protecting my
Kaylin.
brother. I'm protecting my brother, not you. I'm
Yeah,
gonna make the big
exactly. I
boy.
mean,
I'm gonna make the big boy come and get you.
and
Nom nom nom.
jeez, that I don't know though. Like I sympathize, with Henry. Like I'm an eldest
Mm-hmm.
sibling, and so I understand the lengths you'd go to take care of like your family and stuff, and like you know. I think at the same time he didn't really expect a Kathleen to come along and go like I'm gonna single this person out,
Yeah.
and take full on revenge. Like I don't think that was in his head when he was making that deal.
No, I think it just happened.
Yeah.
But yeah, I'm Team Henry. Sorry, Kathleen. I'm so sorry that you died in the way that you died, but also I'm not because I am Team. It's one of those episodes where it's very good, but it also shows you that like
Hmm.
people are gonna die. It's the apocalypse, and it's gonna hurt overall. Another really good episode. Yeah, like it's a very good episode. It's just depressing.
Yeah. Yep. That's fine. Everything's gonna be great. In a couple weeks, we're gonna have super depressing The Last of Us and super fun and wacky The Mandalorian, and it'll be okay. Everything will be great, and we'll do 3 episodes a week or something else. I don't
Oh
know.
my god, I'll
We're
jump
gonna
over
we're gonna have to make some decisions.
it. You guys have to decide. You gotta pick one. And that's pretty much the episode. Like we said, it's just sad. And on a happier note, it's time for everyone's favorite time of the week. Stash, 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 the stash, stash,
Uh-huh.
stash, 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 the stash.
Wow.
The stash on everybody's lips is gonna be petrol. Hi
Hey.
everyone. Welcome to Stash of the Week, where we pick a mustache to talk about it.
Ha ha.
Katrina, do you want to go first or second?
I'll go first. My stash of the week is throwback to last week. I just thought that this stash was miraculous. The abuelita stash. It's just perfect. I just
Can
love
you
it.
can you do the impression for me again?
Oh, the this one where it's like my son don't have ADD. He just like to jump.
Just like the
Look, I grew up in Miami, and my abuela was Chilean, and we were surrounded by like Cuban abuelitas, and so like it just something in me like triggered when he said that, like not in a bad way, but in a nostalgia way, where it's like that's absolutely what my abuela would say. Like my granddaughter does not have
jump,
ADHD; she just likes to jump.
jump. That sketch is so dumb. I love it so
Jokes
much.
on you, Grandma. I actually hate jumping. Um,
Again, we said this during the episode, but I will say the best part about that was mine and Ashley's friend, Ariel, messaged us and was like, when you guys were watching it, like, did you think it was funny since you didn't like speak Spanish? And I was sitting there, I was like, I got it. She was talking shit.
yeah.
I didn't mean to
Well,
say.
that's what
I
the
got
English words were for. You could just you heard like the shit talking tone and then a specific word, and that's the
talking
joke.
shit.
That's
I
why it's a
got it.
universal skit because like
I do
everyone
love
is
that it
let in
still
on
is a
exactly what they're
mustache.
talking about. You know?
I do
Yeah,
like that it's still a mustache.
it's just perfect. It's perfect.
Mine is from Bella Ramsey's Instagram, but my stash of the week is this picture that Bella Ramsey just decided to drop, which is a film picture of Pedro Pascal by a river on a bench that like I would frame it in my home. I would, if I could paint, I would paint this. If someone was making a paint by numbers of this picture, I would paint it. It's
Yeah,
just so pretty. Like
it's so good.
this man was just sitting around
Hmm.
like posing.
Yeah.
Or did they see this bench and Bella was like, "Hey, can you go over there and sit on that bench?" And he was like, "Sure." And then they took this, or was it like I have so many questions because, like, if this is how those man just exists in this universe, I'm gonna take my face to say this. So, if you're watching this, Pedro Pascal, you understand. How dare you? If that's just how you exist. How dare you? How
My
dare you?
goodness.
Because
The
just like
nerve.
if that's how you look at nature,
You just look at it there on the bench like that, sitting that way.
get fucked. Um,
Who
it's
gave
truly
you the permission?
yeah. Who gave you the? First of all, how dare you? I've gone Kelly Kapoor twice in this. First of all, how dare you? But the other image from that same film roll, which also is a wonderful stash,
Mhm,
is this picture, which is just him clearly backstage. Clearly, while they were filming, as you can see the crew behind him,
mhm.
just like so pretty and soft, but like this is fucking nature looking at nature. Um, making
It's
me so
wonderful.
mad. Making me so mad looking at it. But yeah, those are my stashes of the week. And Katrina's is B. Arthur Pedro Pascal.
Yes,
Uh,
I love it.
they're the same but different. Um, and yeah, guys, that is episode 5 of The Last of Us. Only 4 more to go, and then the entire season of The
Woo!
Mandalorian.
My gosh. Oh boy.
Lucky we like each
Oh yeah. No, this is great. I remember in the off season we were always like, I miss you, and like that's how you can tell we work in entertainment because it's like we never put together any other time unless we have our assigned time that is enforced by our producer. Our friendship will suffer.
other. If it was not for Ashley,
She is not
then
just the
we
producer of this podcast; she's the producer of our
producer of our
friendship.
lives. This is the producer of our lives. There are people who like. So many of my friendships are hinged on someone else being like, "We're going to this place at this time," and I'm like,
Yeah,
"Okay."
I need somebody to tell me, and then I'm like, yeah, I'm absolutely gonna be there, and we're gonna have a great time, and that is exactly what happens all the time. Otherwise, I'm just like, I don't want to move. I want to just
I
like,
got plans tomorrow. I don't know what time I gotta be anywhere. My roommate knows. I don't know. I just know I gotta go places. I'm like,
nope. You need to get me one of those like assistant apps. I don't know what they're called. Anyway, if an assistant app wants to
virtual
sponsor us, contact me because I need an
Steve,
assistant
the
with that
ghost of
money.
Steve Jobs. Can you please help us out? Michael Fassbender, Steve Jobs. Can you help a girl out? But yeah. So guys, that was episode 5 of The Last of Us. We will be back in 5 or 6 short days to do episode 6.
Yep.
But in the meantime, Catrina, tell people where they can find you.
You can find me anywhere if you look for Catrina. That's OHCATRINA. I am doing all sorts of things all the time. So just look for me on social and you'll find out what I'm up to.
Whoa.
What about you, Rachel?
You can follow me at Rachel Leishman on Twitter, at Rachel_Leishman on Instagram, because the people hate me and won't give me that not underscored handle. You can follow my work at the Mary Sue, where I write about The Last of Us. You can see some of my stuff on Collider. And yeah, you can see me out and about living a life. I saw Oscar Isaac in a play last night.
Yeah.
And just that stuff. Yeah, I saw Katrina's Boy in a play last night where he's essentially more put together Llewyn Davis.
Interesting.
Essentially just slightly more put together Llewyn Davis. But also I was like looming above him because I had the worst seats of all time in the balcony and I thought I was gonna die. That's what you can see on my Instagram. But yeah, you can follow the podcast at Podro Pascal everywhere. We're on TikTok.
Yeah, we did
If someone
that.
teaches me how to do a fan cam, what am I, Pedro Pascal? A fan cam, I would love that. Or actually, if you guys would send us some of your favorite moments of us, I can turn that into a fan cam. You gotta tell me what episodes there are. I don't remember. You know how many of these we've filmed? I don't remember.
I put them out of my memory as soon as we record them. I do that Adam Driver thing where like I just don't try to track back and then I get nervous if I do.
One of our lovely listeners, I believe their name is Elliot, said that their favorite moment was when I hit myself in the head with the Mandalorian helmet. That's great. When did I do that?
I love it.
I don't even remember.
Great.
I don't even remember when I did that. But yeah, I would love to make a fan cam of us and Metro Pascal. I got Cap Cut. Someone told me to use that. So, when I have time, look out for it. It'll be on the internet. But yeah, like, rate, subscribe, review, tell your friends. Go to our merch store. Buy merch. Get you your merch. It's so nice.
Clothe yourself in Podro.
Clothe yourself. It's great. Go get them. And thank you for listening. And until next time, bye-bye.